This is Talk is Sheep, the official podcast of the Wild Sheep Society BC, brought to you by Sitka Gear. Come along as we bring conversations that matter to you into the high alpine. This episode is sponsored by our conservation partner, Frontiersman Gear. Thank you, Sitka Gear and Frontiersman Gear, for investing in healthy wildlife and sustainable ecosystems. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Talk is Sheep, and this is truly an epic episode. We've got the head shed from the Wild Sheep Society BC here. We've got the movers and shakers from the board of directors, and we're going to get some epic shit done tonight. So round the horn, we got El Presidente, El Jefe, Greg Renzamag, and we got James Mitton and Colin Peters. So kind of a diverse group of directors. We've got my boss, and still a good guy. And then Colin's been around forever, and James is newish to the board. So a really cool perspective. We're wrapping up Jurassic Classic 2025. We had an epic weekend. It was so much fun. And we thought we'd jump on, talk a little bit about Jurassic. Lots of questions about the weekend now. I'm getting lots of inquiries. And it's crazy. This is our 10th anniversary, and there's so much, like guys, the demand is insane. I think I've got 13 or 14 people on the wait list right now. So that's epic. We had a great weekend, but why don't we start with you, James, and let's just chat a little bit about sort of what's your vector to the society. How did you end up becoming one of our newest directors?
Jurassic Classic was actually my vector into the society. Corey has been a long time volunteer for the Jurassic. She's been to every single one. And Corey's my wife. And so when I married her, I kind of got sucked into the sheep world and started with Jurassic and saw what society was doing. I'm all in. I just see great things, and Jurassic is a great event and love to be part of it.
That's awesome, buddy. So grateful to have you there. And it's super cool. Like, you got involved as a volunteer, and just each year you can kind of see your enthusiasm, and then this past couple of years of being on the board. I think you're in your third year on the board now, isn't it, or is it your second year? I think you got elected to a 1-year term, and then you're reelected. You just re-upped, and you're on your 2-year term right now.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that grace where you're not on the ballot for next one, so you're golden. So yeah, awesome. And then Colin, you've done this longer than I have. You're a seasoned veteran. You've probably been around the society longer than any of us. And actually, I've never really talked to you about your origin story about the society. But it's you have a long history, and it's a good one too. On top of that, so let's talk about it a bit.
Origins. Wow, it sounds old. I started in the 2012 was the first year that I went, but it was for 2011. We did a jet boat trip up the Toshoti for a mountain hunt. 2010, I actually was super fortunate. I was by no means a sheep hunter, but I got a Lillooet tag on the Fraser River, and on the first day, I happened to walk upon a bighorn, a legal bighorn, and it was after that hunt, I thought, man, this is kind of easy. I thought sheep hunting was way harder. I got pictures of it with my bighorn and my quad in the same frame, so it really wasn't a challenging hunt, but the mountains were calling. We did it with Kevin Willis. We did a jet boat trip up the Toshoti. And that was my first adventure hunt, getting kind of back away from the highway, away from everything. And I was just put away but starstruck by the backcountry. We did everything wrong. I had the wrong pack. I had the wrong boots. But we kind of learned a bit. I'd learned a lot, and that really kind of stoked a fire for mountain hunting and backpack. So in 2012, me and my buddy came to the event in Kamloops, the convention in Kamloops, and then I've been around ever since. that was my intro to the society. And then locally, I've helped out with the trade show it was just Abbotsford previously. We're doing trade shows now in Chilliwack. But then when the Jurassic came up, I was year two, so I was already a year after it started. But it was and a good friend, Dave was part of the first year. Dave passed away, and there was certainly a need of more help. And what I love it was this is close. This is my backyard. I don't know anything about sturgeon. I'm really liking the society and kind of where it's going. So I offered to help. And I was kind of right from the very first event. I had been involved with, or I'd been to conventions, but when you're a little bit more back, kind of behind the scenes on the event, I was surprised at how well the event did fiscally as far as our time in. So it's not gonna lie, it's a lot of time. From Friday right through to Monday, you're kind of going full tilt 16 hours a day. But to see the kind of the rewards at the end of that, I was like, wow, what this is something. Sheep people give, and sheep people donate, and sheep people love the stories. And that was probably, so I was in the Jurassic before I even became a director.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that, but yeah, it makes sense now that you mentioned. I was the same. I got involved in that first year, and I wasn't a director, and then that was sort of I was like, oh, maybe I'll get involved. But yeah, very cool. Couple things I want to dig into there. First of all, there's not too many guys that have killed bighorns but not killed a stone, and you're kind of the exception. Most guys are stones and they're wanting their bighorns. So you've got you took the hard one first, and you've been pretty picky. So we'll see how this year goes for you. But I know you and James are heading north here in a couple days. So yeah, for sure. Jurassic is special for sure. And yeah, it's such a lot of fun. And yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize that you weren't even a director when you started volunteering for you're just such a big, like a permanent fixture in this society now. I just feel like you've been there forever. So, and so we must have got started about the same time. I think I ran for the board that year after Jurassic, and you probably were 1 year after that. Is that right? Or
2019 was actually my first year on the board.
okay, yeah.
So I think I was a few years after you. You were 2016?
I think 17 it was. Yeah.
17? Okay. So I was 2 years post you.
Right. Yeah. Cool. And then Gregory, for you were supposed to, well, there was all these other orgs that you were going to volunteer for, and then you decided to give us your time, treasure, and talent. Boy, we're glad for that.
Do we spill the beans on who, what? No.
That's your call. I'm not going to do that,
No,
but
well, we'll leave the other orgs out of this.
yeah. So
Yeah,
now
no,
you've been doing Jurassic the last 2 years as well. You're kind of a newcomer to the Jurassic in terms of volunteering at that event. Obviously, you've been tons of other stuff, but you're like, okay, when you got your elected president, like, no, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I put my foot down. I'm the president now. I'm coming. Also had to wait till I moved to Prince George and away from the lower mainland. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
now it's a week-long event for me to get down there with the family and come volunteer, but it's a great time. Sneaking a little fishing for my own beforehand, and just continue to do that until you guys don't let me go anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty epic. So the one thing about Jurassic is that it's we bring people all across. There's 28 teams, 56 anglers, and we bring people from all across North America. So we sell these teams, and the one thing about it is like it's a very diverse group, but it's a very generous group of people. And people like I don't know. There's not too many places that I see have that much fun. Like there's conventions that are fun and all this, but when you see people come off the water at Jurassic, people are pretty fired up about the experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's cool to see firsthand and how excited people are at Island 22 when they're getting off the boats, and even on the first day when they're not, or sorry, the second day when they're not going for the big gourmet meal that we put on for them. But they're getting off the boat, they're having a great time, lots of smiles. It just sets you up for a easy evening of having a good time to continue it through the night.
Yeah, yeah. Hospitality Suite was a little tamer this year, that's always nice. It's nice to get a little bit of sleep during the weekend. Colin, you've kind of seen it that second year. What sort of evolution have you seen, like on the event itself? What's changed for you, and what have you noticed over the years?
From the back's end, we've become better at the more efficient. The team of working with the Mittens, Rebecca and I, and James and Corey volunteer. We have a few different things going in Lower Mainland, and we work really well together. So there's four of us kind of right off the bat that we're close by. We are friends outside of the society stuff. We hang around together, and that completely translates into the Jurassic. Everybody has kind of a task or a duty or a specialty that they're good at, and they just go and do their thing. And there's rarely a time where, actually, I would say there hasn't been a time where the ball really has been dropped. Like, oh, somebody was supposed to do something and they completely dropped the ball. That it is a well-oiled machine. It certainly is a lot easier. It's not nerve-wracking from an event organizing side. And we know that if we're there to have a good time, and we are there to entertain. But the event itself kind of does the entertaining. We take for granted in British Columbia here of what we have. We have mountains and we have got rivers. And for a lot of these people that they come on the banks of the Fraser River and they look across and there's mountains. They're like, oh, and then we call those hills. Like, they're not really big mountains, but there's a lot of people, flatlanders, that come here and they're just mesmerized by the scenery. And Greg mentioned earlier about them coming off the boats in Island 22. And a lot of times, like, the guides are fantastic. They do a terrific job at talking about where they are, talking about the fish, talking about the resource, how important it is to the area. And the people are just impressed by the whole event. So to catch them coming off the boats is an easy thing. And then when we come back to a Sunday banquet meal, which really is kind of our fundraising portions with auctions, they give, and they are very gracious, big donors and givers, giving back the resource. When they've seen the resource and they can touch the resource, they're giving back. I think really jumps up the volumes.
Right on. And one thing that Jurassic I think is super cool is, like, there's lots of conventions, there's lots of banquets. There's only one Jurassic. There's nothing like what we do. There's just not. There's zero example of that I can't think. There are fishing tournaments and there's other experiences and there's really cool stuff, but Jurassic is one in of itself. I think there's no one else doing it, and it's and now there's some other events started up, and kudos to Wild Sheep Foundation Alberta. So anyone that hasn't checked that out, Bighorns on the Bow, they had their inaugural year last year. They're going to be selling teams again this year, and that's a super cool thing, and that's unique as well, right? It's similar to what we're doing, but there is no Jurassic Classic, and in the sheep world, just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, will always be the OG. Just saying. So, no, obviously joking around there, but it is such a cool, unique experience, and you guys have all been sturgeon fishing, obviously, yeah, and it's just like that in itself, to be on the water to fish sturgeon. A lot of these people haven't done that, right? And lots have. We've got tons of repeat customers that come back, but it's a pretty epic experience even in itself. And then Great River as well. You fished with Dean, haven't you, Colin? You and Rebecca was it fishing with Dean, or who'd you fish with?
Yeah, we were with Dean. We were with the Mittens as well. And we did, like, if somebody wants to up their game, up their experience, you've got to stay at his domes on the Fraser. We did a night at his domes and went out for a day of fishing. He's got The domes are like top-notch glamping, a fire pit, wood-fired hot tub. Like the scenery and the experience are just one of a kind. They truly are one of a kind. And Dean does an amazing job at taking care of his people. So even if you're not part of the Jurassic, if you are the fishing experience, Dean really knows his stuff and he delivers an outstanding experience.
Not only the
Yeah, and I think
fishing, oh, sorry, not only the
go ahead,
fishing,
James.
but there's also just the history that we went with Dean, and he just shared the history of the river, and that canyon area of the river, where there was gold claims and stuff, and the wildlife around there, just an unbelievable time of history and sharing his knowledge of the river, and he just has so much knowledge of that river. He's spent a lifetime on the river there, so.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you guys to just chat a little bit about that experience because, um, there's not too many outfitting businesses that could do what we do with Jurassic, and it's because of Great River that it's that partnership and what Dean does, and like anyone that's fished with Dean or been around him, his passion for the resource and passion for, like, he's not a sheep hunter, but he is a hunter. But he's a conservationist at heart, and he's really passionate about that fishery and super passionate about sturgeon. And that's the one thing we've done over the years too, is that educational component on the sturgeon. And if it wasn't for people like Dean and many others and a bunch of great conservation organizations, there'd be no sturgeon in the Lower Fraser either, because it'd all be developed by all kinds of crap. And there's the fishing part of it. That's the least invasive part of it. There's all this other industrial stuff going on in the river that's really, really challenging. So doing a great job for highlighting the awareness around conservation and sturgeon and even their tagging program in itself. Like literally hundreds of thousands of fish have been tagged over the years.
Yeah, Dean is a outstanding conservationist. Kind of I'm not too familiar with in the fishing world. The sheep. There's the sheep world, but there's people and organizations that really stand out. But on the fishing side, Dean and Great River is one of those organizations that really stands out. Just the story of one of the fact that he gave us. So over 70,000 sturgeon have been tagged. I'm going to get my dates totally wrong. James, was it 20 years, 15 years? I can't remember the actual dates, but of those 70,000 individual tags, there was over 220,000 scans. So that these fish, on average, are being caught and scanned 3 times in their lifetime so far. So if you want to talk about a renewable resource, wow, that's renewable. It keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. So his conservation ethos is I highly admire it. It's not the same as what we do with the sheep, but the crossover there, like that's where people say, well, I don't sturgeon fishing, what does that have to do with sheep? It's a conservation story. And ironically, like these sheep, when you do the Upper Canyon, we're barely not even 100 kilometers away, not even 100 kilometers away from a sheep habitat to some of the most needed sheep habitat that we have in British Columbia. So yeah, there is a correlation, and it's a lot closer when we think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. Dean, I was out with him on Monday. We took Yeti out for Conservation Monday, and we got a quintuplet header on, so we had 5 fish on, and we got them to the boat, and every single one of them were tagged. So we didn't have to do any of them; they were all done. So we scanned every one of them, and all of them had tags in them already. So there goes to show you they've been caught before, which is super cool story in itself. So yeah, it's crazy. What was I going to say? I had something about Dean that you brought up there that I was going to touch on. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, yeah, super cool. Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
Everything's gone. Poof. Podcast over.
Yeah, Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. So anyway, it's he does a phenomenal. Oh yeah, I know, I got it now. Thanks. Thanks for bearing with me. It's a good thing I wasn't drinking before this podcast. Probably should have been. I was talking to Scott Ellis. So Scott was saying that they've got their Who Cares public outreach program, and he said that sturgeon fishing, catch and release, gets more hate mail than anything else that they put out on Who Cares BC. And it's insane. Like, it's catch and release. Like, there's the mortality rate on the Fraser is next to nothing. It's like it's less than 0.5%. I can't remember the number. It's like so minuscule. It's insignificant. And they get more hate mail over catch and release sturgeon fishing than they do anything else, like hunting, bear hunting, anything else. Doesn't matter. The sturgeon fishing is the worst, which is incredible. It's insane. Doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, I've had a few run-in sturgeon fishing. We had a guy even this year come up, start taking pictures of us while we were beaching a fish and grilling us about it. And it's like, well, yeah, get out of here. This money is what saves the fish, whether you like it or not. Sports catch and release sturgeon fishing puts so much money back into the resource. It's incredible. And all the, like, those guides are sitting on the boards, like I can't remember what it's called, but the Fraser River angling board, or like those guides are running the river and making the contributions and making the important decisions that manage to bring back such a great resource in the lower mainland, and slowly moving up into the canyon. And there's stocking programs up north for sturgeon. Like, I think there's one in Vanderhoof right now. Like, you can catch sturgeon up here, not on purpose, but there's lots of sturgeon up in northern BC as well. And it's thanks to a lot of that's thanks to the guys on the river, the guides that are putting that money back in.
So why are people so manic about it? Like, and the funny thing is like, if you catch a salmon and you kill it, you eat it, people don't have that sort of reaction. Is like, it's not as big a deal. Is it because it's like, because it's a big fish? Is that what the issue is? Like, people look at it and think you shouldn't be messing with it, or what?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions on the ages. Like, people are like, oh, these are 1,000-year-old dinosaur fish that you're catching and torturing. And it's like, no, a lot of these fish get caught once or twice in their lifetime and they're released. And it's not like you're fighting them for hours either. I can't figure out what the connection is with people, because even in the early 90s, you were still allowed to keep sturgeon. And
yeah, well, and you can in Washington, right? Washington State, you can still bonk them. You can still, it's retention.
Yeah, right over the Columbia River. You can keep them, and you can't keep them in BC. So rivers connected to each other.
I think a lot of it is almost what they don't know. Like, there are a lot of parallels to firearms. People hate, like, oh, guns are bad. Like, whoa, what happened, like, to you? Why do you say that? Oh, the news said, or they have a snippet of information that they do not have an experience. This past year this past spring, when did we go, James? May?
Yeah,
that
May.
was our first trip with Dean. I've fished sturgeon on the river with friends, but that was the first trip with Dean. And even he told us a ton of stuff that I didn't know, both about the area, like Yale, where kind of the Upper Canyon is kind of almost a center place of where he's going. It has some amazing history, both as a fishery, but as the center of BC. And people only see snippets. They don't have, it's a 10-second reel that people get angry about, but they never ask the long questions. I think that's why, like, a Joe Rogan podcast, like, Joe Rogan refuses to do anything less than 2 or 3 hours, because you can't have good conversation in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Well, the same goes really with conservation. You can't fully explain the big picture in a reel, a short, or even a 10-minute conversation. But if you get out on the river, if you spend a day I think, oh, this isn't all what I thought it was. This is way, way bigger than I ever imagined. You don't even have to be a conservationist. You don't even have to be a wildlife lover. You can just go have an experience and you would have a much broader open mind.
Yeah, well said. It just amazes me, like this charismatic megafauna, like grizzly bears and these big African animals and stuff that get so much attention and they're so revered. And then a deer, it's okay to have it like go and kill a deer, and
This is
and
Bambi.
really, yeah, they're well, exactly. It's just bizarre. It's such a dichotomy, the whole experience, right? So, but you're right, Colin. It's funny. That is some buddies of mine that I used to hang out with that were not hunters, and my buddy says to me, he goes, "Give me the 30-second version. Like, you pretend I'm a mom in downtown Vancouver, and you need to explain to me why it's okay to kill a grizzly bear in 30 seconds." I'm like, "You can't. Like, I'm not going to waste my breath. Like, it's a long conversation, and that's why we lose the argument, right? Like, you can't explain it. You have to educate somebody, and it takes forever. So." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's challenging.
a lot of those people aren't willing to accept the education on it either.
Yeah,
It's all about the
yeah,
emotions. I,
yeah,
going back to your question, I think that's what's happened with sturgeon too, is it's turned into such an iconic species here in British Columbia. There's pictures in the news of people catching giants, and you go even back in the history books of anywhere in the lower mainland, like there's guys hanging sturgeon from their tow trucks, or like it's pretty wild. Like you go into a lot of the museums down here and they've got pictures of sturgeon. It's just part of the history here. So it's a neat concept that we've got going on.
yeah. And then you look at what's the biggest risk to sturgeon, right? And there's a ton of industrial activity in the lower Fraser. There's a bunch of stuff going on. There's an initiative, I think it's called the Heart of the Fraser, where they've worked really hard to protect the habitat. Obviously, the fisheries catch and release. The mortality is absolutely next to nothing, as we've discussed. But there's this huge risk to sturgeon. With industrial development, and they want to do a whole bunch of stuff, bridges and all kinds of stuff. They want to build bridges, and the bridge is right, in gravel bars where the sturgeon lay their eggs, and so it's a prime breeding ground. So, if you let industrial development, they would be extirpated for sure, but it's not because of fishing for sure. And then because what's the worst thing you can do for wildlife? You can make it worthless. If it's worth nothing to people, then nobody wants to protect it. But if it's worth something, so there's a guide outfitting industry, there's sport fishing, there's all that stuff. There's value to it. People want to protect it because there's value there, just like anything else. As soon as you value something, you're going to look after it. You're going to protect it. So, yeah. Boy, we went down the rabbit hole of sturgeon tonight, didn't we?
Just keep going. This is a Talk is Sheep Sturgeon episode. So
Yeah.
see how little we know about fish.
Well, I know yeah, Dean would be listening to this and rolling his eyes, and everybody else that knows anything about fishing, at least when I'm talking. So Jurassic, we've done 9 years. Next year's our big 10-year anniversary. It's going to be pretty epic. And I actually got emails today if people want to sign up for 2027. So I guess for our listeners, a couple things. If you're interested, there's a handful of teams. We sell probably about 7 or 8 teams. So there's going to be 2 at Sheep Week in Reno. So if you're interested, you can buy a team there. You got to bid on it. It's going to be at the live auction. Probably one of the late members breakfast, and then one Thursday or Friday night. I'm not sure what night it is, but we'll publicize that. And then there's a few other ones. There's a Midwest Chapter Wild Sheep Foundation. There's Del Safari Club. One of their chapters has it. I'll get the link for that one. But we'll let you know as they come up. So, like I said, we got quite a list this year, and demand is pretty high. I think the 10-year anniversary, we made it 10 years. We made it that iconic stretch, so people are stoked about it. What are we doing new for this year, boys? We haven't even discussed what's new for our 10-year anniversary, but there's going to be some pretty epic shit, I think.
Yeah, sure. We're just gonna wing it on what's gonna be epic, aren't we? It's no planning yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. After this year, I don't know like how you guys feel, but I don't think I've ever been a part of an event that's gone off so well with such positive feedback. like, I don't know, like everything we do, there's always somebody or something goes wrong, or we find out after somebody saying something, and like I haven't heard a bad word about what happened, and I left that weekend just jacked right up and excited to be doing what we're doing.
There was definitely something special leaving that weekend. It just the what people said about that weekend, and the whatever 4 or 5 that I've been a part of, it was definitely something special this year. Don't know what it was, just a great group of people, obviously great volunteers, and just yeah, like I said, um, great people.
There was something we skipped at the beginning here when Kyle was kind of selling you there, James. This is your first year as the lead of the Jurassic Classic as well.
Uh,
You're
Kyle did most of that. I kind of stayed in the background a little bit.
supposed to take your credit, man.
Yeah, and in all fairness, um, we should shout out to Trev. Trev Carruthers has been a big part of the Jurassic for 8 of the last 9 years, and growing family. He's got lots on the go, and just a busy guy. And he sort of stepped back, and that's and James, you've graciously and done an amazing job stepping up and taking over. But just a shout out to Trev. I'm not sure if Trev will be listening to this, but usually follows pretty closely what we do. I imagine he's gonna, and he's had an incredible run, and we never really actually properly honored him because he did it after the event last year, and we'll have to have him back one of these years and just have him as a guest on one of the boats. But just real grateful for him. Trev was one of the initial guys that built this thing when we started putting it together, and it's been an epic run. So huge shout out to Trev and then everybody else. There's so many volunteers and so many moving parts, and just there's people that just show up for a couple hours on the weekend to help, and then there's, of course, like, you look at the work that, like, the 3 of you guys they're doing, and your spouses and everyone involved. You guys are taking the day off Friday, but that doesn't include all the days you spent getting ready for the Friday, and then you're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and not only that, you're going home Monday. So you're taking basically 5 days to put this program together and do it. And we couldn't do it without volunteers. You just, like, if we had to do it with paid help, it wouldn't be worth doing. There'd be no money left. It's phenomenal. If you added up the volunteer hours, it's literally thousands of volunteer hours over the years. And then what does that translate to? I figure we're about that $650,000 towards wild sheep conservation through the Jurassic Classic that's been gone to our projects on the ground. And one of the biggest things that this is the cool dichotomy, or the cool tie-in with the Fraser, is that we're fishing on the lower Fraser for catch and release sturgeon, and we're raising money for the Bighorns that are further up the Fraser. We've spent about $1.4 million to date with us and our partners on that project. And we're trying to bring back a high of 2,500 Bighorns, California Bighorns on the Fraser. It was in 2020, we had about 800 sheep there, and our vision is to try and bring that back. So it's a real cool tie-in through lower Fraser and upper Fraser and sturgeon and wild sheep. And it's a super cool theme, and people buy in, they get it, they understand, and they're super generous when they come to the event.
Yeah, it's pretty neat this year with playing the Sitka gear film on the Fraser too, so people in the room could see where their money's going. And it's like, I can't remember who said it earlier, but it's a short trip up the river to where the sheep actually live. So to see where your money's going and see the results, it's pretty neat. And I know the folks in the room appreciated that this year.
I think it doesn't hurt too. Like, we had a guy like Ben Barikoff in the room, right? Ben's there. Chris Proctor, who's been the lead on the Fraser and the test and remove project we've been doing. Those two guys are in the room. Ben's there every year. He brings a bio, almost in somebody that's tied to wild sheep conservation. And then Ben and Chris talked after they showed that film, and both those guys are in that Sitka film. I think we did a pretty good job in Sitka, and everything just came together to sort of tell the story, and people were super passionate about it because they can see the benefits. Like you said, Greg, they're seeing the benefits that their money's contributing towards. So yeah, super cool.
Yeah, there was, conservation. I learned kind of early in my days and time with the Sheep Society, what does collaboration mean? What is that term? And it is like, it doesn't, in my world, I'm kind of construction, um, subcontractor, contractor, there's no collaboration. You just pick it up and do it yourself. But in the conservation space, nothing happens without collaboration. Collaboration, we have um, generous donors on one side and we have government on the other side. Not saying they're opposed, but there's a lot of people that we have to work with. There's a whole lot of moving pieces that have to fall into place. And in between and partway through, we have like our official sponsor, Sitka Gear, that have stepped up for our province, for our organization year after year, and have enabled us to up the game. And then other conservation partners along the way, all the rest of our conservation partners along the way help us with monetization and with product to incentivize people for fundraisers, for raffles. All that turns into profits on the ground. I'm still happy that we have, for our organization, for the money that we can put on the ground, we have 2.5 paid people. Like, that's phenomenal to be able to put were we 7.25 this year?
Mm-hmm.
$725,000 on the ground with 2.5 paid people, 2.5 full-time positions. That's absolutely remarkable. When I've talked with other people outside, and there's all kinds of foundations and other organizations, whether that's doing wildlife or there's lots of great topics, but when I can give them the meat and potatoes of our organization, how it works and how we do it, they're just enamored, just blown away. But how on earth can you do that with only us? Well, it's volunteers, it's directors, it's thousands of people, thousands and thousands of man hours every year that enable us to do what we do. And I think our supporters, the people that buy those teams at whatever auction they are, the word is out. The word on the Jurassic, that what it is and what do we do with that money? Do we just, where does that money go? The money, Kyle donates all of his time. Everybody there is 100% donated time. There is no, so all the money coming in goes straight up to the ground. And I would like to bring up, there was a reason why Kyle and Kyle, Trev, and Dean were given the President's Award in 2020?
I'm looking at it on the wall, and yeah, it was 2020. Yeah.
2020. So there's a reason why these three gentlemen were kind of presented kind of one of the highest awards from the Wild Sheep Foundation, is that they've built something truly remarkable, and it's lived its test of time, and it's desired. It's desired on all fronts. There's a lineup of volunteers, and there's a lineup of anxious anglers that want to come on board.
Go ahead, Gregory.
I was just going to say, Colin, he mentioned these teams get purchased from different auctions, and people are throwing good money at those teams. When they get in the room too, like, a lot of those guys don't stop spending the money to help support. You look at this year, and we had 14 boats on the water. We had but one of them was for Yeti, so we don't really count that as part of the fundraiser portion. But 13 guides went for 46,950. 2 guides were bid on for another. They were 6,000 each. Like, people are putting the money back into the resource after they buy the team too. Like, I wanted kudos to everybody that comes out and supports the Jurassic, all those anglers. Like, we we can't do what we do without people like that. Like they are the lifeblood of our organization.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, Greg. It's like there's all these pieces and they have to align, and if any one of them comes out, like you just and we talk, and I think that's the special part about our conservation community, our wild sheep world in particular. And don't get me wrong, there's other great conservation entities and groups out there, but the wild sheep family has something pretty special. You see it in Reno, you see it at our shows, you see it Jurassic, and there's just a community of dedicated conservationists. But you take any one piece away, right? Then it all starts to fall apart. You take those volunteers out of it, it doesn't work. You take the participants out of it, you take the donors out of it, you take the sponsors out of it, it just all falls apart. And I think that that's just, we have this beautiful musical orchestra that we all come together and we create something really special. And I think that, you know, our Wild Sheep family's done that. I think that we have a pretty amazing orchestra that when you put it all together, it makes something pretty beautiful. And I think in BC, we're seeing that. I think we're seeing increasing populations in certain sheep herds. I think we are making a difference for wild sheep, and yeah, you're right. We couldn't do it without certainly our dedicated members and those incredible people that come to Jurassic and our other events that make it happen. And on that note, we're getting ready to fire up our fundraisers. I think our Northern fundraiser is going on sale October 1st. Penticton shortly thereafter, 10 days after. I think the 14th, Greg.
Yeah.
So it's all coming together for our fall, and we got a couple of great shows planned for everybody. So yeah, it's super cool. And like, you know, Colin, you mentioned the award, and I really feel like that award. You know, it's interesting. It says Kyle Stelter Jurassic Classic on my award. Trevor's got one that says Trevor Crothers Jurassic Classic. I feel that's the award. It's the event. And then the people behind the event, yeah, we're the guys that put the suits on that day and went up there and shook hands and got our pictures. But, you know, we didn't really deserve it any more than the hardworking guys and gals that are working every single day to make this an event. And we've said it at the event. We say, and I'll say it again, is that this is a constant this inhabits our freaking life, man. Like, how many times am I texting you in the last, you know, month, the two of you guys, Greg, reaching out to you, asking questions and planning and scheming for next year. And it's just that passion, right? So it's awesome. And I think like it's a sick drug, to be honest with you. Chris talks about the Hotel California, right? Chris Barker, you know, you can check in, but you can never check out. And there's definitely some of that going on. You just can't let it go. And even the guys that step away, they're still, you know, they're still part of it. They just can't help it.
Yeah, it's funny when you say that. Like if you miss an event for some reason, like you get a sick feeling to your stomach, like you're missing out on the world. I don't know, Colin, you've gone through that. You know, you miss Reno or something. I've done it with Reno too. It's you just feel like you're losing. It's you gotta you're in. There's no coming out. You're in for life.
But there seems to always be something, even if you miss something, there's something around the corner. And then it's almost like a segue into our Region 4 Bighorn workshop. A few years ago, we had the Sheep Summit in Prince George, where we did breakout groups into the regions that had sheep, talk about with, and kind of a little bit backstory is this was designed to get all stakeholders at the table, whether it be First Nations, guide outfitters, NGOs like ourselves, conservation groups, and government, and kind of sit down in your individual groups and talk about the problems, specific regional problems. What's the problems for Region 6, 7, 3, 5, 8, 4? What are the issues? So we are kind of bringing this back up. There was a lot that was brought up for Region 4, the Kootenays, that to be honest, we haven't dealt with, or we haven't looked at more. So we are going back to the Kootenays. We're going to have a workshop on Friday, November 21. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So those that are stakeholders that are in the area, I know there will be a cap, I believe, but for now, it is a free event to come to. So fishing game clubs in the area, guide outfitters. I know of one outfitter in particular, Riley Bloomberg. I'll be giving him a call here, see if he's available. But we want to bring back to our conservation group. Helen Swansha is going to lead that for us. So it's not just directors that are going to try to struggle their way through it. We're going to have actually a professional come and help us table the workshop with breakout groups and kind of point out and identify some of the problems in the region and how do we get around this? How do we move the needle? And I think that's what our organization is about, is how do we move the needle? So I'm looking forward to, like, we talk about the Jurassic, and then we're spinning quick here. We've got lots of directors out hunting now. Lots still to come. We've got Region 4 meetings, and then like Kyle mentioned already, we've got convention season right around the corner. And as I look at that, I think, oh man, yeah, there's a whole bunch of work I got to get going on. I got to get some emails rolling here. Thinking after the Jurassic, it's kind of shocking how quickly things turn. Like, it is a really nice kind of a seasonal summer wrap up, but man, things start moving quick.
Yep.
We get a couple month break, and then we go, if it's not the symposium, usually we have our in-person board meeting. So we're gonna you have that meeting in November, and then you blink and it's what, April? Like, we just screaming. I know what it's like just for our end of things, but Kyle, it's gotta be like driving through a wormhole with all the lights just flashing by.
Yeah, it's definitely go time. It's pretty inspiring though, like just getting everyone together, and those shows are a ton of work, but man, they're a ton of fun. And that's the one thing about the society is we just there's always something on the go. Colin, you nailed it. It's just nonstop where it's like, okay, it's Jurassic, and then there's this and there's that. It's nonstop in a great way. Like, and there's so much passion, and I think that's the one thing when you look at what the society and what we're doing is there's so much passion, enthusiasm, because nobody would do it if it wasn't for that. Like, like in our volunteers and people that are involved, and because there is a ton of work that goes in behind the scenes, and it's mostly on the backs of our volunteers and really, really dedicated people that are really passionate about it. So yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, it's great. And yeah, it's not too far away when you start doing the math on it, which is scary. I'm kind of freaking out now, actually.
You get a couple of weeks and tickets go on sale. And this is going to be my disclaimer right now. Buy your tickets. Don't wait. Don't phone us and tell us you missed out on buying your tickets. That's unfortunate for you, but we can't do anything about it. When it's sold out, it's sold out. There's fire codes and building regulations, all that kind of stuff we can't break. So we sell a certain amount of tickets. We can't help you. Don't beg us.
Well, I think the proof is in the pudding. Like anyone that, we used to say, oh, get your tickets, we might sell out. Like, we're not pretending anymore. Like, we will sell out. We do every year. We've done it now for a number of years, and we will sell out. So it's whether it happens, and that's happening in Reno, right? Like, if you didn't book your Peppermill ticket, your room in the Peppermill the first sort of 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever, you're not getting there. And then I talked to Gray today, and he said that their ticket sales are really strong, and that they're going to sell out too. They're going to sell out early. They've sold out the Friday and Saturday night every year the last couple of years, and it's going to be no different this year, and it's going to be the same for us with our Northern and our Penticton shows. They're both going to sell out. Penticton's awesome this year. We got a great lineup. So last year, who do we have at the Sheep Hunter Universe? We had TJ Schwanke, we had John Barklow, we had, who else did we have? We had, I think, 12 seminars. Omer did a double seminar.
Yeah.
Who
Jay
else?
Nickel, Adam
Jay
Foss. Did Lauren Wood do it? reloading.
Yeah.
Yep. Lauren did
Yeah.
reloading.
We did
C Toms.
C Toms, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray Weens put on a clinic.
So this year we have a lineup equally as impressive. I've got some confirmed. I've got Brad Brooks from Argali Outdoors confirmed. Steve Speck from Exo Backpacks. Steve's confirmed. Barclow's a yes, subject to schedule. Like we've got a lineup like you wouldn't believe again. So our Sheep Hunting University's off the charts. Expo is going to be bigger and better than ever. We've expanded by another dozen booths. So there's just so many cool things going on there. We're doing a RAM Awards on the Thursday night, and I'm really excited about what we're doing there. So we got a great lineup of stuff to do. And so you come spend the weekend. And I think, guys, like the one thing about the show is like the show is cool and there might be cool speakers, but it's just that community feeling, like that group of people in the room. Like to me, it's about the people in the room more so than, yeah, you can go and listen to Adam Foss and John Barklow tell you how to become a sheep hunter, and that's freaking insanely amazing. Like, but that's not even the best part. Like, that's just the one part of an amazing weekend with great people and just like a community of people that are like-minded. Like you just really, really feel connected at home in that room.
Yeah, it sucked me in. So here I am.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Colin, you look like you're going to say
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of visualizing the event center, and I'm already kind of thinking, well, we need something bigger, like Penticton. Like
Yeah.
we could fill, but it's facilities. We don't have really facilities available to us at this point. I think there are some options that we're looking at, but it's kind of a nice problem to have, is that when you have like I remember a number of people that are now presenting. We've been trying for a couple of years to get people out, and they're just it's Canada. There's I don't know how many people you got there. It's such a small market. Like really, that's
Right.
what it's. We are a very small market, but I think that we're being recognized. Not only do we have the best sheep hunting in the world, but we're being recognized for our organization, and we're being recognized now for this show. The word is getting out. Jay Nickel has been actually a terrific advocate for us, talking about our show. He's been to a number down in the States, and I've had conversations with him, talking about how we do a bang up job. He says for something that's Canadian, and then having the border is a bit of an issue with some of these vendors. It always has been with shows, but he says that people are figuring that out. They're doing the workarounds, and to get these vendors, Argali. I love to see Argali then now come north. Exo Gear, love to see these guys come north, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. I had a couple of conversations with John Barklow kind of in the elevator as we were coming and going, and I think he was even a little shocked at how much we had and how deep our event was, not being just surface of just being your typical lectures and then you go home, but he says like deep, smart conversations with he says an amazing amount of highly skilled people. That's our membership in the room. That he says that he's quite surprised, and he was happy. I was happy that he had a great time, and that last year he was hoping to come back. So it's great to hear that he is scheduled to come back.
Yeah, and his wife Jules, she was like right into it too. Jules absolutely loved being up here. It was super cool. Like her enthusiasm was like super cool. Like, yeah, it was just infectious listening to her talk about it. And yeah, Yonke talks lots about that. Adam's like, like when he's talking to, Exo Mount Gear, or he's talking to some of these other brands, Argali, he's like, these are the real deal. Like, these are not like somebody that might go on a guided hunt that's never really done a mountain hunt. Like, these are the freaking real deal. Like, these guys are legit, that like every year, like you and like the two of you guys are taking off on Friday or Saturday for 2 weeks of like kick ass full on mountain hunting. Like, you guys, you can't go in not knowing what the hell you're doing, because you're going to die. Like, and that's the kind of people that come to our show. So I think, like, from a vendor perspective, they get that. And they also get, like, it's not like the guy that's going to spend, decide if he wants to spend $10 or $15 on that shirt for his hunt. Like, people that are there are looking for the good gear. They want the best they can get. And that's the cool thing. Like, from a attendee perspective, where can you go to a show in Canada? You tell me where you can go to a show in Canada and you can try on crispy boots. You can put on a Stone Glacier backpack. You can put on a Cafaro backpack. You can talk to the owner of Fierce. You can go around and, like, we have all that stuff there. And, like, what's the biggest thing with boots? Try them on, like, throw them on. Everyone fits differently. We've got like 4 or 5 boot manufacturers there. Schnee's is there. Like, there's all these different brands where you can go and try. You can go and, Omer's got a lineup of optics where, we've got Leica's there. We've got Gentech. We got Zeiss there. And he's got Gunworks there. You got all the optics, and you're going to try all of them at once in the show. And then, let's talk to the sales rep for Zeiss while we're at it, or Leica, or. I don't think that exists in Canada. I really think we brought something to Canada that doesn't exist. There's other shows with cool stuff, but I don't think for the mountain hunter you can get what we have anywhere else in Canada. Am I wrong?
No, I agree.
No.
100%.
Yeah. I guess we just did a bit of a pitch for the show. Sorry. Yeah. Awesome. Anything else on the expo we need to talk about? Northern this year is epic. And if anyone is sort of like in between North and South and you want to try something out, haven't been in the Northern, all I can say is that there's a group of passionate conservationists in that Northern community that care deeply about wild sheep. And you just got to go and experience it, to go in that room and see those people and the passion and the support that they give. And just, again, that wild sheep community in that Northern space, it's a pretty special thing. So tickets go on sale October 1st, so 2 weeks away. And don't wait, because it will sell out. That one usually sells out. We've had it sell out in a couple days. And now we don't have our Northern director, Robbie Englot, pushing like we used to. So it's probably going to take us a few weeks. But what I will say is, if you're thinking about coming, you got to, don't sit on the fence. It's a great night. And we actually have a Friday night fun night sponsored by Frontiersman Gear. It's just a great evening. Lots of, cool stuff there. We got our backpack races, and then Saturday's the whole shebang. Starts earlier in the day with some seminars and some horn aging, and then we just have a great banquet and a great time. And there's some great things on the auction lineup. So come check it out. But before we go, we got to talk about our Magnificent Seven. So every year this is our third year doing it. We've had Omer Precision Optics step up, and he works with other industry brands, Gunworks, Fierce, Leupold, Leica, Zeiss, and others, to bring the Magnificent Seven about $80,000 in rifle packages. There's 7 packages. We've already given away the early bird that was drawn earlier, and we've given that away. So we got 6 packages. You buy 1 ticket, you get 6 chances to win. If you'd bought before the early bird, you get 7 chances to win. Now, I shared some stats on our last e-blast. This is a full donation. So do the math, folks. This is what the support of our community that we get. Omer takes pride in this. He sources these items. He donates them to the society along with other donors, with the brands themselves. But Omer donates a bunch himself. And so it's 100% donation. So what does that mean? That means that 100% of those funds go to our conservation efforts. And this is about 15% of our budget per year. Our conservation work comes from this raffle. So that's how important it is. Now, we have to pay service fees for having an online auction. It's about 6%. and our raffle fees our credit card fees are like that 3%, 2.5%, 3%. So about 8% to 9% we have to pay out of our budget for that. So that means that 91 to 92% of all those sales go to conservation. So when you buy a ticket, you buy your $50 ticket, about $45 is going to go on the ground for wild sheep. So, okay, the first reason you should buy a ticket is because you get 6 chances to win $70,000 in guns. And the top prize is a Gunworks. It's beautiful, $23,000. That's the first reason. But the second reason is look at the conservation work that you're doing. So if you want to make a donation, or you want to go buy a lottery ticket and you want to support David Eby, or you want to support, what's his name? Is it Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney or something like that? Whatever those guys' names are. Go ahead. Go support that. That's great. They need your money. It's important. Or you could look after fucking wild sheep, right? Like, you pick which one do you want to do. I know which one I would pick. Did I just swear there? Sorry, I get a little bit worked up. Anyway, diatribe over. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we've got incredible donors. We've got incredible prizes. And this is the heart of what we do. Our conservation work comes from this raffle. This is the heart of what we're doing. 15% of our conservation work comes from this particular raffle. And we've got just shy of 2,000 members. And if you each bought one ticket, we'd pretty much sell out. So, ladies and gentlemen, please do the math. Please support, because it matters. Your dollars matter, and this is what's driving our conservation efforts. Any questions?
That was one hell of a sales pitch.
Sorry, man.
That's a fabulous sales pitch.
Yeah, except for this.
That's why you're leader.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. Anyway, what else are we talking about? So, yeah, go to our website, click on the Durrell link, and buy some tickets. 1's good, 2's better, 10's even better. So support. Yeah.
How do we
Anything
follow
else?
that up? How do you follow up Kyle's spiel?
Yeah, that's kind of everything else after that's a little anticlimactic.
Sorry, I didn't even plan this. I just got wound up for a second there. So, yeah. Anyway, it's all for the sheep, right?
I think we could edit on your monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that. Let's just shut her down right there, Kyle.
Yep.
You win. You win.
All right. Awesome. Boys, gents, thank you so much. And then, like, it's Jurassic centric, certainly to everyone that's part of that whole Jurassic weekend. Thank you. It's honestly, there was something magical this year, and it didn't hurt that it was perfect weather, and we had an amazing experience, and it was magical. So it was a epic weekend. So awesome. Onward and upward. 10th annual. 2026 is going to be even better.